I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Tom Bates.
Yes.
Alan Donaldson.
Yes.
Andrew Clemmons is absent. Cindy Clemmons.
Yes.
Candy Wade.
Here.
All right, you got your sheet here.
Yeah, the expense is pretty straightforward like we had it. Nothing really changed with that, what we did. The revenue, I mean, this is what you had on your sheet last time.
This one,
Figure to figure.
this one, this one,
This one.
this one. Okay, yeah.
This is what will be published.
Oh, okay.
So, you're gonna see that your totals, you know, what I put in there is what you did. The revenue is confusing because we had to add in, we didn't add in everything as we went along because of all of the, like the loan and the thing.
Oh.
You know, we were crossing through and penciling in.
Yeah,
So the revenue is kind of what I gave you is the budget
the
here
total.
does not match how these things were grouped together. Next year, I think we're still using it, just an old sheet.
Oh,
So, so for the final figure, you're adding the things in those boxes.
this box?
Yeah.
For 21? Okay.
Yeah, because that's how it will match up. I made it so it matches up with this, so you can see that the revenue, because they do not add it up like in those neat little boxes that we had on the spreadsheet. So next year, I'm not gonna do it like that. I'm just gonna make it, how this looks is how this is gonna look.
Okay.
You know? Well,
Make it
it's
easier for
very
you.
hard, because it's hard to, I mean, it was a bugger to get those in there because I had to jump around, because whatever this was from, was somebody else made it, and no wonder I have such an awful time. But, so next year, where I have to draw those boxes, instead, we're just gonna have, it'll
Like
look,
this?
yes, it'll
Like that one?
look, they will match up, so you don't have to decide what goes where to make it add up right. Because I had a terrible time.
Okay.
But other than, I did have to fix the revenues, I didn't do anything with the expenses. But with the loan and the transfers in, and that have to match the transfers out, and we just didn't have all that quite figured up, added up in the way that it was gonna match, so.
Mhm. Anybody have any questions?
I don't know how convoluted, but I tried to make it as clear. Maybe I made it worse. But expenses go kind of right down the line. That's what we said the other night, that's what's on the budget. The revenue, we kind of had kind of a mixture, mishmash, and we didn't. So I took that sheet that we used, but I showed how it actually goes on the budget page, what numbers they use to get those amounts. So all the numbers we had were there, I just had to recombine them to get,
Is that the numbers from this one?
is
No.
that revenue? I can't see, I'm sorry. Yes,
Is that
and
the
then,
one?
but we had put in like the loan or, that's their government capital projects. And if we can, it should be kind of matching. Well, I'd probably look at this to see if you
That one?
think
Oh,
well,
I was
the
just
tax
curious.
rate, but this includes the other levies.
Oh,
So, and on the budget sheet that you publish, it doesn't do all those other, it just puts them, you know,
other,
yeah, like we had them all in a row. Our
Oh.
like lost in road use tax, one employee benefit, and whatever.
oh, okay.
And that's not how the budget page for the.
Oh, it's not how it's published?
No.
Okay.
So the finagling I did was to try and show, if you go just.
This is the one you're gonna publish?
Yeah, right. And so these figures, I tried to show you how, on our sheet of paper, how those figures came from there, how they put them together. So next year, I think we'll just put them together like they put them together, and then you won't have, then it's almost line for line, like the expense was.
Mhm.
But this one was, doesn't match up exactly, so that's why it's kind of goofy.
Well, the money that we do for the library, the fire department, and the ambulance, that doesn't show on here?
No, that shows the total budgets for those entities, not the money we give them, but because they use our tax ID, so they're under the city, this is their budget, but they have their own money that they spend. So that's why it looks like this much, not that, you know, the city gives them that much, but we have to report the budget, because they have independent monies that come in and independent monies they
But
pay.
that doesn't reflect on the city's budget, the money that
Well, it kind of does, yes.
that we're not showing.
But we, well, like for the fire and ambulance, they said their budget was, what, 21,000 or 30,000. That's their budget. That's what they say they're gonna spend.
Right. But
What
that
the city-
15,000 that we say we're giving to the fire department, we don't have to show that over here?
No, because it's grouped under their whole budget is reported to the state, not what the city gives to them, but their
It's
whole
everything.
department
Okay,
budget.
but our budget, it doesn't need to show that we're giving a allotted 15 grand for the fire department, or 20,000 for the library.
No. So basically, when we tell the library and the fire department that we're not giving them those monies, then they adjust accordingly. If they've got the money to spend, they can spend what they budgeted, but they can't count on city money to make that budget work.
Well, where in here does that money come from? That $20,000 say we're gonna give to the library?
This is a budget, like the library's budget is this.
Right, but we're
And
giving
but-
them 20,000
yeah, but-
out of here, right?
But they don't need to know that, no.
Yeah, but I need to know that.
Well, that's why, yes. So that's why, like, at the end of the fiscal year, any remaining monies for the,
You would have to total up culture and recreation is where it would be under, correct?
Okay,
yeah, it's
Oh, that's where it's at?
102 or whatever, yeah.
okay,
So
so
if you totaled up the libraries, the
the
pool,
pool,
they should total that 95,000.
and then does Public Works cover the
Those three.
ambulance and fire
And police.
and police?
Oh, that's Public Works. Okay.
Okay, so we gotta make sure there's enough in there always to know what we give
Just
to.
say they wanted to buy a fire truck tomorrow or anything, it doesn't matter. You have to put that in the budget.
Right,
So if
and
they were gonna spend their $63,000, you would have to add that into our budget. It's not our money, it makes it look like we have more,
yeah,
but we just wouldn't have to amend anything. You're still gonna amend it, but.
Yeah, but their budget is always going to be more than the city gives them.
Correct.
right,
Because yeah.
because they get money from other
Right, but
places.
so we report their budget, not what we pay them. So
Right.
at the beginning of the fiscal year, I transfer, like last year, it was 15,000 to the fire department. That goes in the general fund for them. And that's all we spend on them. If it's gone, it's gone, but what's left over goes then to the truck fund.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if we're gonna give them whoever $20,000, we gotta know we got $20,000 to give them somewhere in our budget.
Right,
Right.
right, yeah. But, and then the whole thing, the revenue with that is that their revenue gets kicked in with our revenue.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yes, it's,
Yeah, if they had their own tax ID number, it'd be
easier, we just get
Wait.
the money.
Because you would just say, here's your money, thanks, see you later, you do your budget, you file it with the state. you
Yeah.
wanna-
Everything, you're on your own,
Correct.
but they work under the city.
Since they're under us, we have to account for
This is even littler print in the papers.
Well, I can't even find the one that's supposed to go to the paper, because it should be smaller, so that's probably the size that's gonna be published in.
Well,
Sometimes it is smaller for publication, but this one doesn't really look smaller. And then I can, I can print out the full, every page of the budget if you want it. Also, if you wanna look detailed, page by detail page.
But it all adds up to these numbers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It takes your individual pots that you do on these pages and then puts them in the right spot. It totals what you put in and then a whole bunch of different areas and puts them in the right spot.
the computer does all that.
Yes,
Isn't
thank
that
God.
amazing? I know. In the olden days, you had to do that yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm over that. In olden days, it probably wasn't as quite as complicated. And the state, they're always helpful. The guy that runs the city budget part of it is always helpful. League of Cities is helpful. But, I got them all plugged in, but my hardest thing was making the sheet that we started for income match that, because we didn't add them together in the same ways. And they do the totals differently, so, yeah.
A little more time consuming than you had planned, huh?
Right, that's why next year I think we're gonna change it up. The expenses were great, but they're kind of listed the same way that the budget on the website works, but our revenue, I don't know, I think these are city taxes, which is covered through. I'm not quite sure where it came from, but I plugged the numbers in. And we will have to amend, probably wait till April or so,
On
yeah.
the loan stuff.
And the derecho expenses and the, everything. And so the guy at the bank needs, just as an aside, the council needs to vote. And, I talked to Tom, and he thought maybe in it when I guess so we'll talk about it at the next meeting. Then he wants to see something in the minutes or a resolution that says you have the ability to sign on that one.
Oh,
And
Okay.
Tom and Ellen thought perhaps we should have two signers.
I agree.
So, so when we get to that, but yeah, so those won't, and it's a line of credit, so we're just estimating, what we're gonna get, so this year, next year, kind of,
All right, so everybody happy with what's going in the paper?
Does it make sense?
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
of course, I don't know nothing, so you might be in trouble.
Yeah, no, I tried to make it just as plain as I could, but that's not always easy. But next year I think it'll be easier, I'll make it up differently, and when things match with it, and then you don't have to do all the odd stuff. And we'll be amending this too. We do every year.
So then does it have to be republished? If
The
you amend it?
the amendment has to be
Okay.
published, and then you have another public hearing for
Okay.
the amended budget. So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. Done by every step.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the budget to go to the paper for fiscal year 2021-22.
Second.
Roll call, Tom Bates,
Yep.
Alan Donaldson,
Yep.
Andrew Clemmons is absent, Cindy Clemmons,
Yes.
Candy Wade.
Yes.
Okay. So be it.
Motion to adjourn.